5 confessions. 1 circle. Every secret connected. Tonight, you begin with Elena. She is going to tell you about the affair she has been having for 8 months. She is going to tell you about the room on the 4th floor of a hotel. She is going to tell you that she ended it today. She is wrong about which one of those things matters most. Listen.
I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who does this. That's what we all say, isn't it? As if there's a kind. As if the kind is somewhere else, in someone else's life. My name is Elena. My husband is asleep upstairs. I have 8 minutes before he wakes up.
So,
David and I have been married 6 years. We met in graduate school. He was finishing his MBA. I was finishing my architecture degree. The kind of couple our friends called perfect on paper. That phrase always troubled me. As if paper were a thing you could live inside. I am not a victim in this story. David is not a villain. We didn't fall apart in one moment, and we didn't fight. We just became roommates. Friendly, considerate, increasingly polite roommates. I think I noticed it before he did. Or perhaps he noticed it first and was waiting for me to catch up. I designed 3 buildings in our 6th year of marriage. He attended 1 opening. I baked exactly twice. He came home late more nights than I tracked. We stopped touching each other in the kitchen. Then we stopped touching each other on the couch. Then we stopped, and I don't remember when that happened. This is what an affair grows in. Not a war. A slow, polite silence. It was our anniversary party. 6th year. David rented the back room at a restaurant we used to love. I wore a dress he hadn't bought me. He spent most of the evening at the bar with his business partner, Thomas. I spent it making sure everyone else's wine glass was full. Marco arrived late. I hadn't expected to see him. He'd moved away after college, and then his marriage fell apart, and now he was back. A divorce attorney, of all things. We'd almost dated once, the kind of almost that ends because 2 people are slightly out of phase. He kissed both my cheeks and said something about the dress. I don't remember the exact words. I remember the feeling, that small jolt of being seen, not as someone's wife, not as the hostess, but as a person who has chosen a dress. We talked for 40 minutes. He told me he'd been thinking about the year we met. I told him I'd been thinking about the version of me who didn't choose to stay in graduate school. We didn't flirt. We didn't have to. 3 weeks later, he texted me about a building. He needed an architect's eye on a property he was considering. We met for coffee. The coffee turned into lunch. The lunch turned into a long walk through a neighborhood I hadn't been to in years. I came home and lied to David about where I'd been. The first lie is the heavy one. Every lie after is paper. The hotel was Marco's idea. I want you to understand. I didn't agree to it the first time. I said no. I went home. I lay awake next to my husband and thought about the door of the hotel room and what it would have felt like to walk through it. I said yes the second time. The room was on the 4th floor. Room 412. I checked in under a name that wasn't mine. I remember the carpet, that dense industrial carpet you only see in hotels, and how it absorbed the sound of my heels. I remember waiting for the elevator. I remember being more nervous about the elevator than the room. What I want to tell you, and what is the hardest thing to say, is that it wasn't a mistake. For 8 months, it wasn't a mistake. It was the first thing in my life I'd chosen for myself that wasn't sensible. And then he ended it. It was a Tuesday. We were in the room, the same room, we always asked for the same room, and he was sitting on the edge of the bed, putting his shoes on. He hadn't taken them off all the way. I noticed that. And I think I knew before he said it. He said, "Elena, we have to stop. I can't tell you why. I need you to trust me." I didn't ask why. I think I should have. I think a stronger woman would have. I stood by the window and looked at the parking lot and waited for him to leave. He waited too. We waited the way you wait at a funeral, when you don't know what comes next. He left. I went home. David was in his office on the phone. I went upstairs and stood in the doorway of the bedroom we shared, and I felt, and this is the truest thing I can say, relief. Not heartbreak. Relief. As if some terrible weight had decided, for me, that it would no longer be carried. I changed into something normal. I came downstairs. I was going to make tea. The kettle was already on. David must have started it. I could hear him in his office, still on the phone. The door was open the way it always was when he forgot. I wasn't trying to listen. I was just trying not to make noise. He said, "I told you. It's done. I'm telling you it's done. We can finally be together." I stood in the kitchen and held the tea I hadn't made, and I tried to understand what I had just heard. I want to tell you my first thought was, he's been having an affair too. We're even. We're free. That wasn't my first thought. My first thought was, he sounded relieved. The same kind of relieved I had felt 15 minutes earlier. My second thought was, who is we? My third thought, and this is the one I cannot get out of my head, was, how long has he known? Because if he was saying it's done, then something had ended. And the only thing that had ended that day was me and Marco. And David shouldn't have known about me and Marco. He shouldn't have known it had ended. He shouldn't have known it had started. Unless he had. I'm telling you this because I need to tell someone. I'm telling you this because I haven't told my husband I heard him. Because I have to look at him across the table tomorrow morning. Because in 3 days I am going to dinner at Thomas and Sophia's house with David, and Marco will not be there, and I will smile at everyone and I will pretend I do not know that one of them is the person on the other end of that phone call. I do not know yet what is happening to me. I do not know who I am married to. I do not know who I have lost. I do not know which of my friends has been watching all of this from very close. This is my confession. It is the first one. It is not the most important one. The next one is David's.
That was Elena. She is upstairs now, pretending to read a book. Her husband is in his office. He has been waiting for tonight for 9 months. He knows what she heard. He arranged for her to hear it. The next confession is his. Listen for what he is proud of. Listen more carefully for what he does not yet realize.